monitor my bank account. They can see where I'm going all day. But let my Farmville load faster. You know, we got to get a hold of somebody. Every time I try to launch a game and my Facebook slows down, help me out.
Yeah, there's been some interesting things on Facebook. And Facebook, anyway, what do I say nicely about Facebook? It's hard to say. I mean, it's been great to communicate with, like, relatives back east and friends around the world. And because you and I both do radio, isn't it a wonderful vessel for advertising?
Oh, it's amazing. It's awesome.
It is. It's a wonderful thing for advertising, but you read articles. Marriages have gone into divorce because of Facebook.
No, just social media in general.
Like bullying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gotten out of hand in some ways, but it's, you know, I know a couple of guys that are cops here in this town, and they were saying, you know, sometimes we bust our crooks just by going to Facebook and looking at their page. It's easy sometimes. Sometimes it's hard, but sometimes it's easy. Yeah, that's why you got to. Oh, do you?
Yeah, this kid I worked. He worked there right before I did, but he got fired from where I work for posting all this horrible stuff about the place he works at while he's sitting at Sonic waiting for his lunch. And our boss has Facebook. When you really don't put that, everybody puts their life on there.
Yeah, well, there's just some things I won't post on there. You know, and I think some people do that for attention. I really do. I mean, if you're going to post something that is kind of personal and private, and I mean, I post stuff, you know, FML, I say that all the time, ... feeling frustrated. That's one thing, you know. But to post something, you know, I don't know. What I define as personal, what someone else defines as personal is obviously two different things, but there's just some things you just don't talk about on Facebook.
Exactly. Like, I get passionate about certain things. I'm a huge, oh my gosh, I hope I don't turn off all your listeners and everything, but I'm a huge Cowboys fan. And I will go to town on Facebook during the Cowboys game, whatever. But if I'm having personal problems in my life, you know, things happen. If I'm going to buy a soda, if I'm, you know, it doesn't matter. I don't post a whole lot on social media. And never anything too personal, but it's fun to connect and get feedback and things like that, you know, especially sports and things you're kind of passionate about. But people, I mean, you're on social media, and we see people kind of live their life on there and post every single thing they're doing. And
it's very true. I mean, I've seen people post what they're eating, you know,
exactly.
That. You know, sometimes I'll post what I'm watching, like if I'm watching a horror movie, you know, because I want to get the reaction. I want to hear what my friends have said about the movie. Oh, it's not that good. Feedback. I will post stuff like that, but, you know, I won't post, oh, I just got in a fight with my boyfriend. And, no, you know, no. No.
Exactly. It's just too much. Some of it's just too much. You know?
It is. And then there's the bullying. I see bullying all the time on here. You know, we've had children take their lives because of the Facebook bullying and the things that have been said about them on Facebook. We've seen it through the years. That's just hard.
I know. You never... I don't know how old you are. Like, I'm just scared to say that.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you first. I know what I'm going to say. Don't worry.
I just remember when I was a kid, you know, we didn't have cell phones, and if you wanted to be a badass or whatever, you had to either call somebody on a landline and actually talk to them, or walk up to them in school, or do whatever you're going to do and be a badass. You can't just text and Facebook that you're a badass. You know, when I was a kid. Everybody walking out.
I'm 45, and I actually just had a birthday, and that's something that I have in common with your lovely Danielle. We both share January 4th as our birthday.
Exactly. That's awesome.
So she's Italian and a goat. I love it. But yeah, I remember those days. You didn't have a cell phone. You used your imagination. You know.
Right. Yeah.
I always tell my kids, I'm going to take your, they have one of those things, it's like a Nook, but it's a Kindle Fire. It takes it everywhere.
A tablet, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, pry it away. It's almost like they become like obsessed. It's like a drug. Like it's like a little kid they want a cigarette. You know, someone smoke and a cigarette. That's how my kids are with their tablets. They're like going through withdrawals if they don't have it. And it's like, all right, this isn't good. This is not good at all. But that's social media, and that's what it's become. And getting off, I don't want to get off the subject, but you can thank Zuckerberg. He's the conspirator of this.
That's freaking awesome. I'm have to research that more, Linda. I watched the movie, and to me, he was just this smart kid. Got in with some kind of other smart kids, and they came up with this smash up and whatever. And then, but that's awesome. Like I like that theory a lot better than the movie theory.
Well, it's definitely interesting. And like I said, I have no proof there's any validity to it. I'm going to reiterate that on my show again, just so, someone can come back and go, but you said this. I haven't researched it exclusively. This is obviously something I've heard on TV, and I've read a few articles about it. And I've heard it on other radio shows. So it is something I would like to research more and maybe do a show on it one night, about
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I wanted to ask you, I wanted to kind of jump into the whole UFO thing. What are some of, you have some very interesting guests. Have you had any guests on that have, I don't want to say pretty much confessed that there's life out there, but any kind of guests that you've had on that have been very enlightening on this subject matter?
So far, one, like we're trying really hard. You know how many, well, you probably do because you're into it. It's hard to find somebody who's very credible. And we want to be really professional. We want to be really credible. And, the conspiracy guy I was telling you about, that works for the government and everything else, his clearance allows him to certain documents and everything else. There's protocols to UFO encounters. There's protocols to UFO or when we capture aliens. There's protocols for everything. So there's a lot of things that I think, gosh, it's hard to put into words, really.
I know.
He couldn't say specific things, but what he told me and where he grew up in northern New York, where there was an airfield and he saw weird stuff and some of the documents he saw, he told me without a doubt, because it was all declassified, he told me without a doubt, we have recovered spacecraft, and there's no doubt, before I even talked to him, there was no doubt in my mind that that aliens are among us, or they visit us, or whatever. You just see from the same things you've researched, the same things I've researched, the hieroglyphics, the pictures, it's what do you think? There's no doubt in my mind that they've been here and they keep coming here. What do you think?
Well, my theory is going to be very off the wall, probably, but that's okay. I think so many abductions and so many people witnessing stuff in the sky, or actually having something, physically happen to them, an abduction. And unfortunately, he's not alive anymore. But I don't know if you remember Dr. Lear. Dr. Lear was this doctor who specialized in removing foreign objects from people who had been abducted.
The implants, right?
The implants. So with that being said, I mean, this is an MD, a doctor, who was it was very sad to see him leave this world, because he was a great service to science, medicine, and UFOlogy, all combined into one. But you can't sit there and, the government wants you to be like sheep in the bed, and the government uses the media as that tool. And so people sit there and watch TV, and they believe everything that they're hearing on the TV. But yet, people have video cameras and cell phones, and are videotaping stuff. I've seen stuff in the sky with my naked eye, not just from the Skywatch. I've seen things, and I actually have a friend. I'm trying to get him on the show. He's local. I think he's affiliated with MUFON out of the Monterey Peninsula, but I'm not positive on that. He sent me footage not even a month ago. I'd say this is around Christmas time, of things he has seen right here in my own backyard. He's in the town over from me, Carmel Valley, and it's the valley, so it's very rural, and, there's not a whole lot of street lights like here where I live. And he sent me pictures of triangled shaped ships in the sky that he was catching with his cell phone, and the other guy was catching with a video camera.
Can I say something about that? I mean,
yeah. Could the government?
You're touching on 47 different things that the guy that Andy Curtis, Danielle put it on the chat room. You know what he calls people? He calls them sheeple. You just said sheep, and he said that the media pretty much runs everything. Most of the things I was on I co-hosted a show a little while back, just this last Sunday actually, with a good friend Rocky Stucci, and that's what it was about, was some structures on the moon, some ufology stuff. Well, most of the video, pictures, structures in places, they're not like saucers, they're not circular, they're triangular, just like you were saying. And
I think they come in all shapes and sizes.
Yeah, I mean, not everything is a Toyota or a Chevy, but you're coming from planet B232 or freaking X7742. Things are going to be different. But we had a huge discussion about, or a very powerful thing about that, where it goes into a entirely different direction too. Where are you familiar with like string theory or dimensions and things like that?
Yes, and quantum leaps and
yes. I think that some of this, even paranormal ghosts or aliens or things like that, they could be us a billion years in the future. Coming back.
Time warp. Yep.
Right.
And I sometimes think some of these things, like aliens that we see, are there's time traveled back in time. Obviously, they're from the future. It's very, very fascinating topic. A couple of years ago, I saw something with my naked eye, and the only reason I saw it, I saw two of them. Only reason I saw it is because I had my telescope out that night, and I was looking at, there was an alignment, Venus and Mars, and you could see like 3 or 4 planets with the visible eye, but even better with a telescope. And Like I said, I'm an astrologer.